Can you imagine tanks rolling through your quiet suburban neighborhood? That's exactly what happened when Marissa Langston wrapped her perfectly manicured fingers around my Aunt Clara's throat and dragged her down the street, turning our peaceful cul-de-sac into a military showdown nobody saw coming. It was a Tuesday afternoon, just past 4 p.m. I was hunched over my laptop, wrestling with some tricky code for a client, when I heard screams. My Aunt Clara's voice, usually steady as a rock from her years as a military nurse, cracked with fear and pain. "Let go of me! You've got no right!" I dropped everything, sprinted to the front door, and froze at the sight. There was my 58-year-old aunt, still hobbling from knee surgery, being dragged by her sweater across the asphalt by Marissa Langston, the iron-fisted president of our HOA. "You've been warned about unauthorized walking times," Marissa barked, her face twisted with smug fury. Clara's cane clattered to the ground, her surgical scar glaring pink under her capris as she struggled to stay upright. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, but nobody moved. Mrs. Carter from number 42 gaped from her rose bushes. The Wilson kids stopped their bikes, staring. Silence. Marissa, in her delusion of absolute control, had no idea she just lit a fuse. Within 20 minutes, our pristine Willow Grove would be crawling with special forces who'd make her regret ever laying a hand on a member of the Harper family. Let me back up. I'm Ethan Harper, 35, a cybersecurity consultant who moved in with my Aunt Clara 3 months ago to help her recover from a brutal knee replacement. I've worked remotely forever, so swapping my downtown loft for the suburbs was no big deal. Clara's been more of a mom to me than my own ever was. She spent 27 years as a military nurse, patching up soldiers in hellholes from Desert Storm to Afghanistan. She delivered babies during evacuations, performed surgery under mortar fire, and earned a Bronze Star for her grit. After a career of SAVYing others, it was our turn to look after her. The surgery went well, but recovery was a slog. 3 pins in her knee, months of therapy. Her surgeon was crystal clear. Daily walks were non-negotiable. "Start small, build up," Dr. Ramsey said. "If she doesn't walk, scar tissue could lock her knee and cost her 30 fan tram of her motion for good." Willow Grove seemed perfect, quiet streets, gentle slopes, ideal for rehab. The colonial homes, manicured lawns, and blooming dogwoods screamed tranquility. What we didn't bargain for was Marissa Langston's chokehold on the neighborhood. Marissa, early 50s, fought aging like it was a personal insult. Botox locked her forehead in a perpetual half-smirk. Her ash-blonde hair never dared stray, her nails always gleamed in shades like crimson or obsidian. She wore nothing but designer Gucci blazers, Prada heels, Burberry scarves, and drove a silver BMW with a vanity plate that read, "Rules." I'm not kidding. The first time we met, at the mailbox, she handed me a 137-page HOA manual, color-coded by violation type. "Study it," she said, her smile sharp as a blade. "We take standards seriously here." Within a week, we got our first violation notice, slipped under the door like a court summons. Clara's therapy walks broke Rule 7.3.2. Non-essential pedestrian activity restricted to 9 to 11 a.m. and 2 to 4 p.m. 2. Preserve aesthetics and security. Marissa's signature was scrawled in fancy ink. I laughed and tossed it in the trash. Who bans walking? Clara just shrugged and kept up her exercises. Doctor's orders trumped HOA nonsense. The second notice came with a due law 150 fine, delivered by Marissa herself, clipboard in hand, snapping photos like a private eye. "Perhaps I wasn't clear about compliance," she said, eyeing Clara stretching in the leave-ying room. I tried explaining the surgery, the medical need, even offered to show the doctor's notes. Marissa shut me down. "Medical issues don't override community rules. The walking schedule was voted on to prevent loitering." The third notice upped the fine to due law 300 and threatened a lien on Clara's house. At the HOA meeting, I pleaded her case. Marissa waved me off. "Rules apply equally. Medical exemptions need board approval, submitted 30 days in advance. Next meeting's in December." It was September. Clara wasn't fazed. She'd faced enemy fire. A clipboard-wielding HOA tyrant didn't scare her. I didn't survive 3 combat tours to be told when I can walk, she said, strapping on her knee brace for her daily 20-minute trek. Let her try to stop me. I admired her, but I worried. I didn't expect things to explode so fast. That Tuesday, Clara was 10 minutes into her walk, rounding Oak and Cedar, when Marissa's BMW screeched to a stop. Witnesses said Marissa stormed out, clipboard VYing, screaming, "This is your 4th violation! You're undermining HOA authority!" Clara tried to sidestep, leaning on her cane. I'm following doctor's orders, Marissa. Move. That's when Marissa lost it. She grabbed Clara's sweater and yanked, dragging her toward our house, ranting about enforcing compliance. Clara stumbled, fell, and hit the pavement hard. By the time I got there, her knees were scraped, her sweater torn, and a scratch on her neck bled where Marissa's nail had dug in. The humiliation in Clara's eyes, a woman who'd held her head high through war, ignited a rage in me I didn't know I had. What the hell are you doing? I roared, helping Clara up and stepping between them. Marissa smoothed her blazer unfazed. She's been warned. Bylaw 12.5 authorizes removal of nuisances. She's recovering from surgery, I shouted, as neighbors watched from their yards. You assaulted her. Marissa's voice was ice. I enforced compliance. Keep disrupting, Ethan, and we'll re-VYEW your guest status. Permits expire after 90 days. She sauntered to her BMW and peeled out, Leah VYing us in the street, Clara shaking with pain and shame. I got Clara home, cleaned her wounds, and checked her knee. Luckily, no major damage. She sat quietly as I dabbed antiseptic on the scratch, her military calm slowly returning. Her hands stopped trembling, her breathing steadied, her eyes sharpened. Then she spoke, voice low and commanding, the one that could soothe a wounded soldier in chaos. Ethan, get my phone. I need to call my brother. That's when it hit me. Uncle Nathan, Clara's younger brother, who we rarely talked about because his work was hush-hush. Colonel Nathan Harper, a high-ranking officer in an elite Special Forces unit, running drills just 30 miles away. Clara's call was short, precise. She laid out the assault, her injuries, Marissa's threats, no embellishment. She listened, then said, Understood. Thanks, Nathan, and hung up. He's coming, she said, sipping her tea. Should be here in 20 minutes. I expected a worried brother, maybe a lawyer. Not what came next. At 4:42 p.m., 2 black SUVs crept down our street, followed by a military transport that looked straight out of an action flick. Neighbors spilled out, confused. Lawnmowers stopped. Kids were yanked inside. Then, a Black Hawk helicopter roared overhead, circling once. Aunt Clara, I said, watching tactical teams fan out. What did you tell Nathan? She smirked. The truth. A CIVY Leon assaulted a retired officer and threatened her family. A sharp knock hit the door. I opened it to Nathan in dress uniform, medals gleaming, 5 armed soldiers behind him. His face was harder than I remembered, etched by years of service, but his eyes were razor sharp. Ethan, he said, brushing past to Clara. He checked her neck, his jaw tightening at the scratch. After a quiet word with her, he turned to me. Point me to Marissa Langston's house. I gestured to the colonial with white columns, her BMW in the driveway. Nathan radioed. Target residence identified. Hold perimeter. The neighborhood was chaos. People clustered on lawns, filming, whispering. Through her window, Marissa was on the phone, flailing. Probably calling her hotshot lawyer husband, I said. Nathan's smile was chilling. Good. She'll need him. What followed was pure theater. Nathan and 4 soldiers strode to Marissa's house, MOVYing with lethal precision, not a step wasted. Marissa burst out as they hit her lawn. What is this? This is private property. I've called the police. Nathan stopped at her property line. Mrs. Langston, I'm Colonel Nathan Harper, U.S. Army Special Forces. I'm investigating an assault on my sister, Lieutenant Colonel Clara Harper, a 27-year veteran combat nurse. Marissa's Botox held, but her eyes betrayed panic. Assault? That's ridiculous. I was enforcing HOA rules. Nathan's voice cut like steel. Witnesses saw you grab my sister by the neck and drag her, causing injury. That's assault and battery under state law. Marissa stammered. You can't bring soldiers into a CIVYL matter. Nathan didn't blink. The sheriff's en route for the CIVYL side. My men were training nearby when I learned a decorated veteran was attacked. We're ensuring her safety. Assaulting a retired officer can carry federal charges. My JAG officers reviewing options. A sheriff's cruiser pulled up. Nathan briefed the deputies, his aide handing over witness statements collected in minutes. Marissa, cornered, sputtered. I'm the VY Tim. The HOA has rules. A deputy cut in. HOA rules don't let you touch people. That's criminal. They took her statement, issued a citation for assault, and left her shaken. Nathan returned to Clara, now on the porch, a faint smile on her face. Was this necessary? She asked. Absolutely, he said. Nobody touches my sister. By nightfall, the military pulled back, but the neighborhood was electric. Neighbors swapped stories, reappraising Clara. Did you know she was a lieutenant colonel? Heard she got a Bronze Star. Marissa wasn't arrested but faced court for assault. Her husband came home to a restraining order barring her from Clara. The next night's HOA meeting was packed. A neighbor proposed ousting Marissa as president. It passed unanimously, her allies deserting her. The walking restrictions were scrapped, and a retired Marine, Sergeant Henry Brooks, took over as interim president. I know essential from non-essential, he said, leaning on his own cane. This place runs on respect now. Neighbors who never spoken started connecting, trading numbers, planning barbecues. Marissa's house hit the market within days. They fled to a downtown condo, no HOA. Clara's recovery sped up, her walks now joined by a crew of neighbors, the Knee Brigade. She called them, laughing. Marissa's plea deal sent her to volunteer at the VA, helping veterans walk, a fitting twist. Nathan gifted Clara a custom cane with his unit's insignia. For safety. He winked. It became a neighborhood legend, whispered about at welcome parties. I stayed with Clara past her recovery, taking a role as the HOA's communications officer. Willow Grove became home. Marissa thought power was rules and fear. She didn't get that real power like Clara and Nathan's, forged in Servi says it's quiet until provoked. When it moves, it's unstoppable, whether it's soldiers storming a suburb or a community shielding its own. A year later, Willow Grove's lawns are still perfect, but the streets hum with life. Every day at 4 p.m., Clara leads her walkers past where Marissa dragged her, tapping her cane not in pain, but in triumph, a reminder of what happens when you pick the wrong fight.